Hello everyone, and welcome to part 2 of the Dark Souls Remastered playthrough. So I'm going to go ahead and keep on with this. Last time that left off here, I was at the undead parish. I have not done anything since then. I wanted to leave this fresh, so there we go. Anywho, so yes, at the undead parish. So there's a lot of important things we're going to want to get here. Firstly, we're going to talk to this one guy. He is what I would probably consider to be one of the most important NPCs in the game. Don't kill him, he's useful.
Well, you must be a new arrival.
Yeah.
I'm Andre of Astoram. If you require smithing, then speak to me.
Firstly, and most importantly, you learn a gesture from him, because you gotta have those emotes. Come on now. But also, in addition to that, he has a couple of really useful items for late game. Crest of Artorias, we're gonna get that later. In fact, there's actually a way that I usually will get it early on. Now, the main things at this vendor is not really these, although you also have the Bastard Sword, which is kind of like the Claymore, but it's a little different in this moveset. Typically, if a person's going to do like a lot of Claymore or things of that nature playthroughs and all that, they're going to use the, you might have a Bastard Sword, especially if you do like a lot of elemental weapons and you just want to do like a Claymore only kind of run. That's one thing that I did one time. It was fun. You got a fire Bastard Sword and a lightning one. Very fun. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and get the repair bots. Repair bots is the one I'm going to get firstly. That one will basically enable you to repair your gear at bonfires, which is not a big deal, but you want to do it once in a while so that way you don't accidentally have your equipment break on you. So anyways, we'll let him speak a little bit.
Most weapons and armor are mighty sturdy indeed, but every hunk of metal has its breaking point. If you notice durability running low, it's time to repair. You can ask a blacksmith like myself, or do it on your own with a grindstone. The nice thing about weapons, they never betray you, so pay them a little respect, eh?
So what's great about this guy is he literally outright tells you what you can do with weapons in this game. Because as mentioned, he can reinforce weapons, he can, do other things with them, he can, reinforce them, he can repair them, he can even upgrade them if you get special embers that we'll find throughout the game. So anywho, that's that. So, we're not done yet though. I'm kind of debating on what I'm going to go with first. There's a lot of options here. I have decided that as much as I love the Drake Sword, and it tends to be one of my favorites, I'm not going to use it too much. I do view that if you're your first time playing, use the Drake Sword. Has a really good moveset, it's a good weapon. You can probably use it at a pretty even pacing until probably you get to about to the second bell. Then after that point, you need to have another weapon by then, because you don't want to tackle a place since Fortress without it. So I'm going to reinforce the mace just a little bit.
Don't get yourself killed. Neither of us want to see you go hollow.
Okay, so there's that. So there's a couple things we can do here. Firstly being, I'm going to check through my souls real quick. And okay, yeah, I have a good amount here. So, what I'm going to go ahead and do is see if I can go ahead and buy a couple of the items in his forge. So, the other one I typically want to get is a weapon.
Well, hello, you need anything for?
So yeah. There we go. I also thought about using the Black Knight sword, but since I also got the that Demon's Great Axe, that's going to be the main weapon that I end up using. I think the Black Sword is a little bit cooler, but the Great Axe is awesome, and it's one that's going to be really efficient for this type of build. So we're going to be using that instead. But until then, so as mentioned, you'll get the weapon one. The armor one, it's nice.
Don't get yourself not.
Anyway, he just repeats the same dialogue all the time at that point, so I don't feel bad about skipping that. One thing I get kind of decide is some dialogue may get skipped because, quite frankly, I want to get back to the action. So, okay, so we've done all our prep work here. Now another thing I'm going to do is kindling a bonfire. So there's a couple things in this game you can do with humanity, which is a counter on the upper left-hand corner if you haven't seen it. In order to kindle a bonfire, it tells you cannot kindle a hollow, which is what you are right now because you're a zombie, basically. But you can become a zombie with human looks. You have to do that by offering humanity. Humanity is this sprite over down in here. Is this? You get it throughout the game through various methods. You often get it as a boss reward, and every time you use humanity, it is basically a full heal if you use it, and it adds that counter there, which has its own unique mechanics. But anyways, to expend a humanity at a bonfire will get you back into human form. Now, going into human form has two kind of consequences. The first one being that, well, actually several. So firstly being, at that point you can kindle a bonfire. So if you're ever going to kindle a bonfire, it's going to basically cost you 2, unless you're already in human form. But there's a couple of, 2 other primary things. One, you can summon help from other players. And I am not above summoning help, so I am going to tell you that straight out the gate. Because I think that's part of the Dark Souls experience. And also, though, most importantly, you can get invaded. Now, invaded is by other people, so if somebody else invades me, I'll do my best, but especially the early level PvP, people tend to do a lot of cheap tricks around here, and, just go in and, just one-shot new players and everything. I think that's really despicable. I mean, I know there's quite a bit of grinding to get there most of the time, so I will acknowledge that, because, the human thing is me. But I think generally speaking, you shouldn't be doing that, so I'd have more respect. Anywho's, there we go, there's that. Okay, so first thing I always like to do when I'm here, is I am going to head over here, and check something. Oh, okay, yeah, we got good straight there. I'm gonna kind of see if I can sneak up on him. Yes! Okay, good. Alright, one shot. Wanted to make sure that hit him in one hit, so there we go. A couple ways we can beat him, but there we go. Sometimes if he's in that stance and he can't really kick, because I'm terrible at kicking in this game, despite having many hours in it, I just cannot get kicking down sometimes. Sometimes if you just do one hit against the shield, they'll just start aggroing back. So just be prepared for that if you do that, though. Okay, so this guy's gonna come at me. Sometimes I can miss the parries on these guys, but not this time. Anyway, we're gonna ignore these other 2 for a moment. We are gonna kind of clear out this area. So let's see here. We're gonna go here. Okay. I need to kill this guy. Oh, too early on that one. That happens. Parrying is very much a high risk, high reward kind of game, kind of style. Because if you miss, you basically would have been better off dodging or blocking. But if you hit it, well, then you can really open yourself up. So anyways, what that does is it basically makes this gate all open up. So it kind of opens up the world a little bit for you. Makes it a little less, hard to do stuff. Anyway, there's an enemy on our left here, which always gets most people. There we go. Okay. So yeah, parrying is the best way to deal with these guys. It took me a lot of practice to get them down. I don't get 100% of the time, but I get kills. Excellent. Now I'm going to use my heal. There we go. Okay. Excellent. Excellent, excellent. Don't forget about those free heals. You should generally, whenever you're playing this, use your heal instead of your Estus, because you can... The heal itself is not as good during, like, say, a boss battle as the Estus flask is. So you want to save it for those moments, because we may go ahead and do the boss in one go. I haven't decided yet. Yes, you need bravery. Anywho, we're going to face one of the 2 mini bosses in this area. Anywho's, I'm going to let him come at me real quick. I'm going to switch to one hand here, just because I'd rather not, get my butt kicked. Okay. Don't forget about stamina. yeah, as you can probably tell, I use a combination of blocking and, you know, all that good stuff. So, there we go. Ooh, I have enough to get that other item. So what I'm going to go ahead and do, I'm going to run back. I'm not actually going to use the bonfire. Instead, I'm going to head back to the blacksmith. Talking to the blacksmith is not going to reset the bonfire. It's not going to reset, should not reset the enemies. I'm doing that for a couple of reasons. Main one being that, you know, I need to be able to, you know, I want to get the rest of those upgrades while they're fresh in my mind. There's actually another way to get 2,000 souls. I'll be focusing on a little bit, but typically I go ahead and just, you know, get it done. There we go. Okay, there's that. I got 2 of those. And there we go. Upgrade my mace just a little bit more. There we go. You'll want to get your mace upgrade just a little bit there. It's very useful if you can get your, you know. At this stage in the game, what really actually makes your weapons stronger is not so much your stats, but actually like reinforcing into them. That's the best way to make them strong. I'd say you start noticing stat strength differences, significant ones, when you get to about, you know, where you're getting this, when you get into about mid-tier. That's when that really starts to make a difference. So anywho's, we're doing that, so... Okay, now there's another boss around here. I call it a boss. It's more like a mini-boss. This guy here. Now there's a lot of ways you could deal with him, because he'll kind of pepper you with, like, these magical blasts. What I found the best way to do it, though, is, in this game, if you do headshots with the bow and arrow, 1, it's a headshot, it's hilarious, because he does recover like a wussy. But 2, most importantly, he just kind of stands there and takes it, and you just stun lock him. So, this is a very useful trick, because you want to take care of this guy from range if you can. Because he is a pain in the butt up there, because he buffs up these ads up there, and I mean, they can one-shot you. And I mean one-shot. Also, I'm going to go ahead and head here. Also, I think I forgot about that item. What this does is this unlocks a shortcut, actually, to the first area that we were at the beginning of the game of Firelink. So, this unlocks a shortcut, which, you know, is useful. Because Firelink Shrine is kind of like your central player hub of the world. It's going to be where you'll do most of your, you know, meet most of your NPCs, all that stuff. You know, that's going to be where you find most of them. Anywho, I'm going to go back because, yeah, that's at the moment. Also, I forgot about the thing. Sometimes I do that. So there's an item actually up here that guy was guarding. This is why I was so insistent on killing him. So, there we go. Pillage Corpse, Firekeeper Soul. Now, Firekeeper Soul you can do a few things with. You can actually sacrifice it for 5 humanity. Please don't do that, though. That's not a good investment in the long term. It boosts the power of your Estus Flask. So if you go back to Firelink Shrine, which again, you're right here, you can end up going straight to the Firekeeper that you saw earlier. You can talk to her, and one of the options earlier was to reinforce Estus Flask. So if you talk to her, you can reinforce it. Now what reinforcing an Estus Flask does, is it basically makes it where each of your Estus Flasks can heal you for more health, which is obviously useful. You can do this up to 7 times, you know, to the maximum. After that point, you can't reinforce it anymore. So there we go. Now, I don't have the exact numbers of it. I know it does make a bit of a difference, though. So you should definitely do that, as a rule. Anywho, we're gonna head back up here. And, okay. We're just gonna kinda get going. Yay. So I've also been thinking a lot about the, let's see, you know, the weight requirements of this thing. So if you notice, this thing has a 18-pound increase, which if I was to use it right now, would put me into fat rolling state. Now what some people will actually do, and I've done this in the past, is they'll take off all their armor and wield a heavy weapon early game, so they can wield the weapon and still, like, mid or fast roll. Nothing wrong with that strategy. I mean, armor is useful. but it's not the end-all be-alls. Also, me doing that totally respawned all these enemies, which is okay, because you know what? I wanted to get them actually killed. So we're gonna go through them one more time. Main reason being I want to upgrade the mace just a little bit more. It'd be good if I could get a few more Titanite shards real quick on that end with it. So that would be nice. So also, as you notice, those two enemies did not respawn. So you can also summon help, which I will probably do in a little bit, but I'm not going to do that right now, simply because I'm clearing the area, and so therefore, you know, that's not fair to a player to make them clear this whole area with you. Fat pro tip though, if you ever decide to be summoned, you get 50% of all the kills, and if they get a boss kill, then you get half the boss soul rewards, plus 1 humanity, which is, you know, pretty useful. So, but generally speaking, also you should, you know, you can use that as a way to get extra humanity and stuff. So, yeah, love a shield. May not be the best thing for PvP, but for PvE it works. And that's what I care about. Okay. Oh shit. Okay. This is bad. Okay. No panicking. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and use Nestus. Well, okay. Alright, so we're gonna kinda have to do with this guy. As you can tell, he kinda jumps a lot. Okay. Let's see if we can brute force him. Oh, shoot. Okay. Perfect. Okay. Run. Yeah, he was trying to parry me. That when you see him in a stance like that, that's a parrying stance. Whew. Okay. That took a moment there. As you can probably tell, I mean, enemies in this game really punish you. Which I will admit, I'm kind of squishy. Usually in the early game, I'll focus a bit more on health and endurance. That's usually the two that I recommend. Anywho, we're going to travel up here. And there's going to be some things that we're going to want to do. Now there's an NPC up here that we're going to want to talk to him free. Also, I will ask if you played this game, keep the spoilers to a minimum.
Still human, are you? Then I am in luck. Could you help me? As you can see, I am stuck without recourse.
So basically, he's asking you to help him out. That one area that I went to earlier, that was a long detour with the mystery key, yeah, that unlocks the cell.
Thank you. Yes, sincerely. I am Knight Lautrec of Karim. I truly appreciate this. And I guarantee a reward. Only later.
There you go. So we freed him. You know, so. Anywho's. One thing about it, if you actually go back to the Firelink Shrine and you don't face the area boss, and you talk to him, and you get his reward, which he does give you something, he actually becomes a summonable NPC that you can use for a part of the game. So there's that. That being said, I don't really focus on him. I'd rather summon other people. So I'm gonna do that, and let's see. Alright, so taking care of all this. I'm gonna put on a Ring of Sacrifice here. I've got enough that I feel like it's worth it. Plus, I mean, I'm liable to get someone spawn in PvP at the last second. Okay. That'd be just my luck. Alright, so I'm not gonna summon a whole bunch of player NPCs, but I am gonna summon Knight Solaire. Knight Solaire, very useful. He's a cool dude. He's that guy we spoke to earlier. He actually becomes a summonable NPC if you accept the Whitestone. I was telling you a hint, by the way. That's a good hint. So, alright, there we go. So we will summon him up just so that way you kind of get a taste of the co-op experience. Some people will say, well, why don't you solo it? And, you know, be like, yeah, I didn't feel like it. Also, I did not upgrade my stuff any further, so there's that. So we're just gonna kind of go in and have a gander. Alright, there we go. Let's do this. Okay. You can also dodge out of that. Okay, come on. Okay. We need to kind of hurry up here. I'm not gonna be able to get that. There we go, come on. Oh shit, yeah. Oh no. Soldier draws some fire. He deals with that one, I deal with this one. There we go. Okay. Yay. We killed it. That's the main thing. See, when he gets to about halfway point, he does that. If you had a longer weapon, it would have been easier for me to have done this. But he has that tail, actually. You can actually tear it off by attacking it and equip it as a weapon. And it's actually it's an okay weapon. I personally don't like it a whole bunch, but its special is interesting. So it does a wind-up attack. So. And it's a decent dexterity weapon. I wouldn't call it a great weapon, no, but it does increase your various resistances, which is, you know, nice. Anywho, first boss, big boss done. This is one that I remember when I first started this game. I think it took me about a day to beat it. I just kept on dying. I just could not get it down. This was my first real hurdle. So, anywho, we're gonna ring that bell now. So, cutscene. That's okay. Okay, very good. That part's done. All right. So phase 1 complete. Down here is going to be an NPC. We are going to talk with him, and I am going to get an item from him because he's very useful for this early game. There's an item here that's pretty useful, you know, for the areas that we're getting ready to go into. So, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and use this too. Perfect.
Greetings. I am Oswald of Karim, the Pardon. Thou art a friend. For thee, a warm welcome. Cometh thou to confess, or to accuse? For indeed all sin is my domain.
Alright, so this guy's pretty cool. One, he gives the taunting gesture, what people call the taunting gesture. So, most important item. Also, he grants a lot of really good items for any player. So, I also just realized I don't have enough souls to get the item that I wanted, which is the Poison Bite Ring. That boosts poison resistance by a significant amount. Blood Bite Ring is okay. I may get it later on, but that kind of sad. So, yeah, the Book of the Guilty. This is basically, it's a PvP item. I sometimes will get it if I have the souls. What it does is it basically tells who's been naughty, who's been attacking people a lot and been getting indictments. In PvP, you have an option if you are the one being invaded and you get killed to get indictments, to indict the player that attacked you. So what that does is that enables you to basically report them, because there's a covenant in this game called the Blades of the Darkness, kind of what I would call the equivalent of a bounty hunter's covenant. And they basically aim around to invade people that invade other people out of nowhere. So they're the enforcers of the game, you know, enforcers, bounty hunters, whatever you want to call them. So I call them bounty hunters because, you know, I think that sounds cooler. But anywho, so back to it. So we've gotten this part done. Did all that without having to go back to a bonfire, actually. We did pretty well. Now, we could go back to Firelink Shrine, but I'm not going to do that yet. I have some things I want to get done around here. First thing being, I kind of want to see... I don't want to do very much grinding, but I'm going to do just a tiny bit here, simply because I want to see if we can get a better item that I really want. So, see if we can get some more Titanite shards. If we can't, it's not the end of the world. I'll just spend the souls, but or just go without, because, you know, grinding. But it'd be good to get them if I could. There we go. Okay, well, that's one. That already helps. You're basically gonna need 9 Titanite shards to level up a weapon from 0 to 5. So that's the goal here. There we go. There's that. Alrighty. So yeah, I love the mace. The mace is probably my favorite little thing to play with in terms of the items that I like to use, because it is fun. I will replace it with the Demon's Great Axe because I managed to get that. But if I hadn't, I was gonna probably just stick with the mace the whole playthrough. Because it does a good amount of damage. It does what you need it to do. And it has a really good scaling. Strike damage is really good. It just happens to be that the Great Axe is kind of like a more or less. So reason why it's getting used eventually. Well, technically, okay, so it does regular damage, but still really good. So, ooh, I'm getting really lucky today. Okay, must be because I'm recording. I have had some of the best luck since I started recording, actually, which is awesome. So this guy's kind of a pain to parry, so I'm just gonna kind of let it come out real quick. There we go. So one thing about it, if you can do enough two-hand attacks, or if you do enough damage, even when a target's shielded, you can just blast right through their shield. So that's what I did there. It's one of my favorite techniques. It's actually something to watch out for whenever you use your shield. It's why you don't want to just stay blocking the entire time, because whenever you're blocking and you block an attack, your stamina regen is significantly slower, which is an issue. So, because you're not regaining your stamina, which your stamina is how you actually, like, equates whether your block is successful or not. That's one of the big features of it. So, yeah, typically all I'll do is I'll block. You don't want to just, like, have your shield up like this the entire time. There's a few areas in the game where that's okay, because you'll want to keep it really cautious because of ambushes. But generally speaking, you don't want to do that. So anywho, we're going to head back over here. Let's see here. Debating. Oh yeah, I should probably go ahead and I'm going to upgrade the mace a little bit further. That way we just keep it going. Probably not going to upgrade it much further though. Let's see here. I'm going to go ahead and do that. Let's see here. I'm gonna need to do just a little bit of thinking here. That's what it is. So yeah, we're gonna need a lot of stamina. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and level this up a little bit. So I'm gonna kind of focus on 3 stats on this initial part of the playthrough. Faith and Attunement will come a bit later. If I hadn't gotten things the way I had, I probably would have focused more on faith, because it's a nice thing. But since I have, we're gonna kind of convert the build over a little bit. So this is one nice thing about Dark Souls, is that you can change builds pretty much at any time, or type of thing that you can do. You can't really change the stats, but you can change things up a bit. I'm gonna put 2 points into strength just to keep that going. There we go. Okay, cool. Alright, we've got all that going now. I'm gonna take off this Ringus Sacrifice because I don't need that anymore. So we're gonna face a mini boss down here. I call it a mini boss because it is a mini boss. It's worth 2,000 souls, and it's actually what I usually do if I need one of those parabosses and I want to. There's a lot of attacks here. I'm gonna need to focus on this one here. Do not try to shield his attacks. This is one of those enemies that if you try to shield it, you will get yourself hurt. So, fun fact as well, the mace is the best weapon to use here, the weapons I have, for a lot of reasons. The first one being that this guy is heavily armed. So, straight damage, which is what the mace does, best thing to use against him. Because he's the least resistant. Because if I was to use even the Drake Sword, which is the quote-unquote most powerful weapon in the early game, one of the most powerful ones, it still wouldn't do as much damage as this thing here. So it took me a long time to get the timing down, but I found kind of like circling it is a really good method, and then just kind of don't do more than 2 hits on him at one time, because you'll run out of stamina. Because you're gonna need that to dodge. If you ever looks like he's winding up, then roll away from him. Don't just roll, because it's not like the actual act of rolling that makes you immune to damage. You also need to bear in mind where you're rolling. That's a big part of dodging that a lot of people when they play this game don't understand. I didn't understand that originally, and I actually watched a video on that, and that explained that to me, and I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. Anyway, that's that guy. So we're just going to continue on our path here through the forest. This is the most friendly, non-gloomy place of all time. And, okay. Got these guys here. These are... I don't know what they are. I just call them bushwhackers. There you go. I don't know if that's actually what they are or anything, but I figured it'd be a good name. So, let's see here. Alright. They also occasionally will drop items, and the items they drop are very useful. They really are. There's some. In fact, typically what a lot of players will do is they'll farm certain items in this game for certain areas here. So, nothing wrong with doing that in this game, to farm a few items, healing items. There we go. So that's a blood red moss clump. Now, one of the stats effects that can be inflicted on you is bleeding. And what bleeding does is that if you bleed up to a certain amount, it'll basically do 1/3 of your health, more or less. It'll do a lot of damage to you. Basically, it's extra damage that's being done to you. That will reduce it. Now, that being said, typically that type isn't as useful. Now, around here is a bonfire, so I'm going to go ahead and up this one. You can just roll through it. You don't have to attack it. So, don't need to attack it. I'm still in human form, so it's just good, because I haven't died. So I'm going to spend 1 humanity here, because all the bonfires I have, this bonfire is unkindled, so it's only going to give me 5 Estus. But by kindling it, I can get 5 extra Estus flasks here on. And the nice thing about kindling bonfires, if you ever do multiple playthroughs on the same character, is any bonfire you kindle, stay kindled. So if you keep it, do it once, you don't have to do it again. So I typically will advise to do it a lot. So you're gonna see people with a lot of armors and things. There's an area over here to our right. I'm not gonna go there yet. I tend to get that last, in case I somehow mess up and die. So we're gonna go here again, and let's see. This is the, lovely part of the forest. So I'm gonna go ahead and attack this. This is an ambush right here, which we're just gonna go ahead and deal with because, they're trying to ambush me. That didn't work out well. So there you go. Beating to a pulp ahead. Yes. So this guy right here, hit him. He's gonna come down unless you one-shot him. He actually gives an item occasionally. That's a partisan. I'm not a big spear user. I don't really do a lot of that stuff, so I'm not really. I wouldn't call myself qualified to speak on the usefulness of the spears in this game. I use them a tiny bit, but I'm by no means an expert with them. So, anywho, I'm just one-shotting them, which is great. I love the mace. Okay, so there's some enemies here that are going to come up, and they just kind of rise up. Now, there's a couple tricks to this guy here. The first one being that he's invincible during the first part of his animation, but if you get him just as he's going, you can kill him. Now, if I was to use the Drake Sword on him, for example, with the slash damage, it would have taken me 5 hits two-handed to kill it. Maybe 4, actually. But either way, quite a few. But as you can tell, I did it with just 2. That's because while he's good against all those other types of damage, strike damage does a lot of damage because it's not as well defended. So that's another reason to go with the mace as your starting weapon. So, and yes, you're going to hear a lot of me praising the club hammers and things of that nature. I tend to prefer the hammers. That is my play style. That is what I like, so that's what I do. Some people don't like that, and that is a-okay. You can beat the game without it, but I'm going to do it my way. So, there you go. Alright, there you go. Makes this a lot easier, because those guys really hurt if you allow them to live. Their attacks hurt a lot. And also, they have this thing where they can basically make it impossible for you to dodge until they're dead, and that's like a death sentence. Like, I can't beat... At that point, it's just like, hurry and kill it. So this area right here is an ambush. There's an item ahead. So the best thing to do, actually, rather than just running in there like an idiot, you can also try to just hit them off one at a time, is I do this. I use a bow and arrow. So, there you go. Bow and arrow, kind of pull them out real quick. Okay. Shield. There we go. Okay. Gets one down. Okay. We're basically doing this the smart way. We're springing the trap ahead of time, so that way, you don't have to do it later. Anyways, we're gonna travel around here. We're basically gonna do the same thing again. So let's see here. Okay. Now, hopefully I don't get invaded. Because again, I'm not playing offline, I'm playing online, so... I figure if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it server. You all, as I said, you all will see everything, mistakes and all. Any mistakes that I make, like against that one Baldner Knight that was just kicking my tuchus there for a moment. Alright. We're gonna do that. Let them come back. And Alright. Hammer time. Okay. I'm beaten. Okay. I'm gonna let this guy come up now. There we go. Yeah, he was trying to summon that thing. If you ever see one of them do that, kill it quickly. Because if he gets that spell off and then you try to dodge, you're just gonna be like, You ain't moving at that point. So, there we go. Ambush done, and you get a nice set of armor. The Elite Knight armor is one of my favorite sets, especially for early and mid-game. It's a bit too heavy for me to put on right now, but eventually I will. So, but not right now. Alright, so this is a secret area right here. It's not really an illusory wall, but I'll plus it because it is an illusion thing. So we're gonna face off against some toadies, and I mean literal toadies. So let's see here. Kill this. Voila! There you go. Also, I don't know who that Mr. Frail is, but whatever. I don't know. So. Oh yeah, it's one of the friends I had from Dark Souls 2 that I actually don't even remember. But anywho. Let's see here. I don't really know how to turn those notifications on, so it just is what it is. But I'm actually invisible, so nobody can see me playing, and, I am me while I'm recording, so there, in case they want to tell me something confidential, it'd be good if I didn't have to edit all that out. And I totally glitched up here, because, yeah, that's not thinking. Crap. Oh, no. Oh. actually, the way that typically you can do this, if you go ahead and head over here, you can just kind of deal with them there. But see, the good news is I'm awesome, so therefore, you know, he wasn't able to just, hit me with like a freight train. So was in a little bit of trouble there, but I recovered. And we're gonna head up here, and we're gonna get one of the really useful rings in this game. It's gonna have a stat that I actually really enjoy. I like using, because if you're not going to do the ninja flips, this is the best kind of item to get. There we go. Okay. Oh, I love the mace. There is just nothing better than the mace in an early game. Okay, the wolf ring. So the wolf ring is really useful, just as a rule. I really like that ring. It is very useful because it adds poise. Now what poise is a kind of an invisible mechanic in Dark Souls. If you've ever done PvP in games and you have like where enemies are stun locking you, but there comes a point where they're not able to stun lock you anymore, it's kind of the opposite of that. So every attack that is done in this game does poise damage as well. And every amount has variable amounts to it. So if an enemy attacks poise overcomes your amount of natural poise you have on you, then you get stunned by the attack, which interrupts whatever you're doing. In some cases, if it really overcomes you, you basically just get flattened down into the ground like a pancake. That's happened to me a few times. So, not really a good thing if you're just going to go head-to-head, toe-to-toe. So what I typically, but if you have more poise than what that one attack does, then you can basically keep on attacking. And so, that's useful. Yeah. Let's see here. Okay. So I'm putting this in. Now, this area here is going to be another boss. It's a Tri-Humanity boss, yes. So I'm going to just kind of deal with this real quick. This is a summonable NPC for a couple fights. This is the only one I use it for. And you want this one. If you're a ranged class, this is optional. But if you're melee, please use this, because otherwise you're just going to regret your life with the next boss. The next boss is easy if you're ranged. If you're not, yeah. So we're going to face a boss here. It doesn't get any cutscenes or anything, it just kind of throws itself out there. Because it does that. Alright. So as you notice, I put on the poise ring because I like that ring. So this enemy does mostly magical damage. So this shield, truth be told, is not really that useful against this. I'm just going to go ahead and swap to 2. So one trick here is that you want to keep the boss close. It does a lot of little things like that. You see that wave there? You want to avoid that. So that's another one there. You kind of just want to roll through it. So that's a wave attack thing. There we go. Okay. Good. There we go. Okay. Wasn't really able to dodge at the time, so it's just like, yeah, I'll just use a shield. Better to resist a little bit of the damage than to take all of it. As you can tell, Beatrice does a lot of damage here. Now, at this point, the boss comes down to the rest. If you're melee and you're not doing any summoning help, you use that as a shield. The enemy does a charge attack, though, here. Very, very powerful if you're dumb enough to be caught in it. So, anywho, at this point, I've got the bow and arrow. So, there you go. Another reason why the bow and arrow is useful. So, has the most, it doesn't do the most damage, but it has some very useful applications, and a lot of this game is just knowing what to apply. So, because there's so many encounters you can deal with that just make them so much simpler. It made me think a lot about that. It's like to say, it's like it's like going in and acting like a death stick dealer, and as Obi-Wan said, I went home and rethought my life, and there you go. I came next time with a bow and arrow instead. So, yeah. There you go. I did actually, while we're kind of having the lull in the middle of all this, because I am just gonna run back. I know there's a homework bone, which will return me back, but I just want to go back. Plus, there's an area I still want to hit. So my whole thing about about magic in this game. So even if you are not gonna be doing any sort of crazy magic stuffs, you still want to get room enough for at least one spell or miracle. Reason being is that all you need to get the healing spell is a miracle talisman, which you get early in the game, and then you need 12 faith to use a heal spell. That can really help you. Even later on in the game, being able to heal yourself just a little bit, it's useful. I tend to recommend anybody that is going to do anything, unless you just want to go pure sword build, sword and shield build, which is fine. You can do that. It helps, even if you choose one of the other classes. Also, one thing you can do, and this is also something too, is if you get your intelligence up to a certain point, I'd say probably about, you should really aim for 12, I think, if you're going to do that. We'll be able to confirm that in a little bit here, because there's a boss I'm going to hit, and there's an item that I'm going to show you what we're going to get. But you'll want to get yourself up to there, and there's a buff known as Magic Weapon and Magic Shield. They're two separate spells. They're very useful, because they will basically add magic damage or magic defense to your weapon as a temporary buff. It's basically free damage if you use them, so it's useful. So I tend to be a champion of having some kind of auxiliary damage available, simply so that way you're not, that way you're getting the most bang for your buck. So, and especially the magic weapon one, it can be very useful. In fact, there's an item that we're going to get that's going to make it very powerful. And in fact, on a dexterity build, I pretty much would say you should always have it. There we go. Okay, that's a useful item. What that does there is that reduces your poison buildup, poison, which is the single greatest killer in this game, for most people early. Second to only toxic, which is basically a worse version of that. So, anywho, we're going to keep on here for just a little bit. And so we've done all we're going to do here for now. I've gotten a lot of really good items out of this, particularly all those souls. So we're going to actually go back up. We're going to rest at this bonfire here. We're going to talk to the vendor, and we're going to give him the item here, because we're going to need that later on. Right now it's kind of useless, but right now we want to go ahead and get it going. So I'm going to rest. I'm not going to spend any souls, even though I want to, because I need to get items that are going to help me for later parts of this game. So this is where that risk versus reward factor comes into play. So we're going to start with that.
That's a rare ember you have there. I've seen one of those before. It's the ember of a divine blacksmith. Might you consider leaving that with me? I could produce divine weapons with a flame such as that.
Basically, if we give it to him, he'll be able to get those types of weapons, which you should do.
Thanks for that. You've made a fine decision. You soon shall see.
So what this does is that enables you to make divine weapons, which is vital, actually, for a later area in the game. You're going to need a divine weapon at some point. For right now, though, it's good to go ahead and have it available. Can't really do it right now. That being said, I am going to go ahead and I'm going to hold off, actually.
I'll be seeing.
There we go. Because I want to see what kind of drops I can get from the enemies. So yeah, that'll be useful for later. Because also, although Faith at this point is going to kind of be an auxiliary stat, it'll be the fourth and fifth stat that I focus on. Eventually I am going to be using them. So divine weapons are going to be useful. I already have picked out which weapon I'm going to use for it personally, which is going to be the Claymore. Claymore is considered to be probably one of the favorite weapons in the Dark Souls 1 community. I'd say it's really good. Good for PvP, good for just about everything. Has really good attacks, both one-handed and two-handed. It's not without its faults though. I mean, it does, sometimes whenever you're into like corners and everything, it can really go against you. And also, I mean, because people use it so damn often, they just know how to do it. So don't attack whenever he's doing that, by the way. That's a sign that he's trying to parry you. And he doesn't do it every single time. He has a worse parrying skills than me, which is saying something. But, yeah, you don't want him to, yeah. you don't want to be parried. It's a bad thing. Very bad thing. Bad things happen when you get parried. So, yeah, don't do that to yourself. So this area here, this tends to get people a little bit, so even though it's my second playthrough, second time going through here and I knew this was incoming, I still was just like, I am an idiot, so, okay. I'm gonna go ahead and do this. I can get off time. Okay, perfect. Yeah. Woohoo! There we go. Okay. Gives you some free souls. So I want to hurry up getting up here because this area is a prime spot for invasions. I mean, it really is. It is an area that people love to invade, they love to attack, and I don't want to be here. Also, telltale sign if you're ever being invaded, and this is kind of like just so that you know, because if you do an Alt F4 thing and you wuss out of that, you know, just disconnect yourself from the internet. I mean, if you're to that point where you just want to get through an area, and you don't want to have to worry about that, then just go offline. It's not a big deal. You don't have to play online all the time in this game. You can choose to play offline if you really want to. So don't do that to people. That's rude. So.
Greetings, and welcome back. I am pleased to see the preserving my humanity.
So what that basically means is I haven't sinned, so I'm still in the good books. So there you go. All right, so I've got that ring now.
Thou art welcome. It is only human.
All right, yeah, enough creepy laughs. Okay, excellent. Okay, we got this. And okay, yeah, that'll be a very useful ring for later. I'm very glad we got this. That's gonna make things a lot simpler going forward. So next couple of things we're gonna do. There's so many things you can do now. The world is just so open. It's hard to tell you exactly where to go next. Because I'm also trying to think, well, what would work out the best for people that are, you know, still learning. I will say, regardless, though, we're gonna return to Fireleague Shrine. We are gonna do that, so that is in the cards. I'm not going to do any being summoned for any help or anything of that nature. I don't want there to be anything of a, you know, you all here to watch playthroughs and progress the story, if you're watching this probably. So I'm not here to bore you to death with just me killing the same mobs over and over and over and over again. That's boring. So only so many times you can do that before you fall asleep. So I'm gonna try not to do that. Funny you. I think I'm just gonna go with what I normally do. So firstly, go ahead and use the bonfire. Just good training, as a rule, is to go ahead and use the bonfire. So there's a lot of things I can go into with it right now. Let's see here. I know it's incoming, so I should probably focus a little bit more on stamina. Yeah, let's get that up. There we go. Yeah, we're gonna need stamina in a bit anyway, so. Right now I have about 5.5 stamina worth, so we're gonna talk to this guy real quick.
Why, what a surprise. I didn't expect you to make it. Oh, somebody rang the bell. Wait, was it you? You never give up, do you? I don't know how you do it. Well, don't stop now. Only one more. but it's going to be suicide.
Rude. But anywho, he acknowledges your feat.
What's wrong? Get a bit of a scare out there? No problem. Have a seat and get comfortable. We'll both be hollow before you know it.
Yeah, okay, well. Anywho, we're gonna head back down here. We're gonna talk with this guy right here.
Hello there. I have your reward. Please, accept it. I am grateful to you for freeing me. Not enough for you? Well, let's not be greedy now.
Anywho, there you go. That's this guy. I'm gonna talk to him just a little bit.
Our futures are murky. Let's not be too friendly now.
Alright. So, anywho, we're gonna continue on. Now that we've, talked to Mr. Ingo a little better. So there's a lot of routes we can go at this point. There's an area I tend to like to go to because of certain things. However, if I do this, I mean, the boss fight's gonna take a few minutes. And by that, I mean it will literally take a few minutes, assuming I do everything right, because it takes forever. So I'm debating, I'm just gonna go ahead and do it. That way I can kind of show everything in one area. So I'm gonna go up here. This is secret. You do this, voila. Okay. Now this is where my amazing platforming skills come into play. So you don't want to actually try to jump here. All you want to do, and you can do this at any level, is just do this and roll. Just roll. You can even do it, I don't know if you can do it in a fat roll or not, because I stay out of fat roll at all costs. There we go. So we're going to jump down here. And we're going to get this key. There we go. So that's the undead asylum, but we left there. We were never going back there. Yes, but you can actually get back to the undead asylum that you originally started at. So we're actually going to head back there because there's lots of useful little trinkets and all that sort of thing to get. So we're going to go back and get it. So if you just sit here long enough, eventually a cutscene will play. You just got to be patient. Just got to egg it on, show that, degree of excellence, that stuff. And, prepare to get scrambled. Egg puns are too over easy, I gotta admit. Alright. Cutscene. Okay. It's like you go back home. Okay, excellent. We are here. This area. Okay, now this area is going to be a lot trickier than it was last time, especially at the start. These flaming torch guys, they're assholes. They will frickin' just obliterate you. So the best tactic I found is just kind of let them come to you one by one. Then have your shield up and block if you're ready. Because, see, that guy did like a third of my health with one hit. And they do this torch wavy thing that basically will kill you, especially at this low health level. So I'm kind of doing this a bit dangerously, but there's a lot of rewards for doing this stuff here. So, hey, I'm gonna do a parry. Alright. There's also one on the right here, which we're gonna deal with. Or maybe not. Oh, there he is. Hi there! There we go. Okay. So don't go through the center area there. You will die. So don't do that. Instead, go rest at this bonfire. Okay. And real quick, we're gonna go ahead and pop a humanity and rest at it again. I want to do this really, really quickly. And I mean really quickly. So we're gonna kindle this bonfire up. That way we get one bonfire in an area that has 10. And remember what I mentioned, once you kindle it, it stays that way forever. Very useful. Okay, so we're gonna head back up here. And that one guy that I attacked earlier and put out of his misery, turns out I guess I just wasn't strong enough, because he's back. Better than ever. Actually, no, he's just gone completely hollow, so it's really sad, actually. Okay. But I have a hammer, so yeah, if you two-hand him like that, I mean, it just yeah. Love the mace. Just gotta love that mace. Also, that trap is back. Yeah, no. That trap does not rock. I am not having it. Ready? Whoa, whoa! Okay. These enemies are stronger than you had them last time, but I've also gotten stronger. So. Okay. And I've got a better shield, so. Now one difference here is there are 2 soldiers this time. Okay, so we're gonna play this smartly. There we go. Okay, one down. And I'm just gonna bust right through him. There we go. Yay! Think about strength weapons. In this game, you can just kind of like, just go bop, bop, bebop, bop, bop. Right through their defenses. Yes, the rusted iron ring. This ring is really useful. What this basically does is there are certain areas in this game that, like, when you go into them, they're going to make it where you can't hardly move at all. When it happens, if you equip that ring, it nullifies that by quite a bit. So that way you're about back to normal, which is really useful. So you'll want to hold on to that. So let's head back to the bonfire, rest up. And I'm gonna go ahead and pop one of these. I'm gonna go ahead and start getting a little bit of stuff here. Let's see, let's go with health, yeah. I know it's incoming, so having just a tad bit of health can make a difference. Also, the object that guy dropped, the crest shield, very useful shield. It has a 100% physical defense, which is useful. Same mouse stability, which again just tells you how good it is. But it has a superior magical defense. Very good against opponents that do a lot of that. So I really won't be using that often, but it's there. So also, that one guy that we fought earlier, this is a tower. This is what's known as a great shield. With that type of shield, instead of a parry, you do like a shield bash. They're really good. They're basically for blocking, and they're really good. Except they're really heavy, and I like to be able to. If you're gonna turtle up, as they call it, you know, it's a good shield to use. But I try not to be too turtly. As I say, I aim for mid-roll. So this shield only has 1 pound more. So I'm gonna actually go ahead and equip it because it is useful for the incoming areas, and you can parry. So there you go. Anywho, I'm gonna head down here. There's a lot of items around here that we're gonna get. This is why I come back to here. Then we're gonna have the boss fight. That's probably the longest out of the whole bunch that I'm gonna do. Hopefully I can just kill him in one go, because if I can't, I'm gonna be really, really salty. Because he takes forever to kill, even when you do it right. Okay. Alright, remember parrying. Yeah, this guy's a lot stronger than the other one we faced. Okay. So yeah, that happened. I'm gonna go ahead and heal up. Okay, let's try this again. There we go. Okay. You can also try to backstab him, but kind of dicey. It's better just to parry. Oh my god! Wow. I got the Black Knight shield. That thing has about a 5% chance of dropping. It's a really good shield, actually. It's one of my favorites. It weighs a bit more, but it has a even higher stability. Really good fire defense, lightning defense. Not good magic, but I mean it's good at everything else. It's a really good shield for certain areas in this game. And I am, yeah, that's the first time I've gotten that in about 6 or 7 playthroughs. So, wow, okay. Alright, I'll take it. I don't curse the RNG luck whenever I get it. I bless it because, yeah, there you go. Okay. So there's one more knight around here. He's gonna be, there's 2 ways to get him. I tend to do this method because I think it's more funny to be like, oh, hi there. So, let's see here. Or maybe not. Okay, okay. Heal up. There we go. Okay. Alright. Let's do that again. Wow. Okay. I don't need 2 of them, but okay. Oh, that's wow. That's wow. Okay. Well, if anyone needs a shield, let me know. I'll drop it to you. So there you go. I'll trade you. Anywho, I'm kidding, by the way. I actually don't really. There is a way to kind of do it, but it'd be dicey. Alright, we're gonna do that again because I'm not, it'll be fine. We're about to face the boss in this area, who's basically the asylum demon all over again. So as soon as I go to a certain point, he's gonna knock me down into the ground, and I'm gonna lose half my health. And if I'm unlucky, he'll just basically eat me and kill me. Hopefully he doesn't do that this time. So, I'm able to get around it. Okay. So there we go. Now, this guy does a lot of little attacks. Mainly there's a side swipe. General rule of thumb is be behind him. You want to hit him on his ass. So. Also, he has a very, very high amount of health. So, okay, when he does that, you just kind of run away from him. When he comes back in, it's a good opportunity to get a hit or 2. But remember not to, like, just use your stamina down to nothing. Okay, so he's doing it again. Okay, good, good. Gotta be careful not to approach him too quickly, though. Because if you get too close, even though he's landed, I guess just because he's so, thick, his thickness will damage you a little bit, so. Alright. Okay, doing good, good. Gotta whittle him down, you know. Like, piranha against a big shark or something. Just nibbling it down. Okay, he's doing a different attack. That's the blast of that nature. If you get that one, just run behind him and kind of keep running because it's a distance attack. If you don't think you can make it, then that's where that shield comes in handy. That being said, I've done this quite a lot, so you can usually get 1 hit of it if you hit something. So we're not really going to focus on blocking here, simply because it's a lot easier just to. Blocking his attacks is not easier. It's better just to move out of them. You're not even dodging them, you're just moving. So, okay. Also, notice how I'm doing this without having to worry about targeting. So, I played with mouse and keyboard for the longest time, so targeting is not something that I use in first sets very often. Except when I was doing sorcery, because you pretty much have to do that. So, okay. fight, once you get it down, is not falling asleep, because he just does the same things over and over again. And you're just like, please let it in. So, but his attacks are really punishing. Like, if you do get caught by them, they hurt. Lots. Hopefully I can just go in without taking a single bit of damage to this guy. There's also another reason to kill him. There's a reason why I always make sure to get him. So, because he's technically he's actually an optional boss. You don't have to kill him, but you really should. So, he drops a really awesome item. Okay, he's doing that last thing again. Okay. Fortunately, we can't have his tail. One nice thing about most of the bosses in this game, there's only really one that this part is an exception to. There's not really an enrage timer, like if you just go on for longer, he's just going to keep on getting stronger. So, you know, always bear that in mind. You can take your time, pace yourself. That's what I do a lot. There is one boss that's the exception to that. Oh shoot. I'm doing that. Okay. Got out of that. Oh, this is boring. Okay. I'm also doing this technically a bit early. For the amount of, oh, shit. Okay. Well, just barely out of that. Oh, that could have been bad. Okay. Alright. There we go. On the road. Spank that ass. Yay! So it gave me a Titanite slab. Titanite slab, very useful. Very useful indeed. And 20,000 souls, which we will be using, not to level up, but to unlock. Kind of have an area unlocked ahead of time. So yeah, awesome. Now what the Titanite slab does is it's a special item that for a regular weapon, when you get up to in weapon reinforcement, it will reinforce your weapon to the final stage. So there's up to 15 for regular reinforcement. 1 through 5 is what you do with regular. You can do it at any vendor. Then you have the large Titanite shard, which will be used through 6 through 10. Titanite chunks, 10 through 14, and then Titanite slabs. Titanite slabs are the ones that will get you to the final set. And there's really only like 1 or 2 that you're guaranteed to play through. So you have to be careful about what you use them with. They also, at that point, increase your scaling of that item. So, really useful. Anywho, that part is done. So we're gonna head back over here. And there we go. Okay. Kill it. Excellent. Okay. Yeah, that attack that you just did just now, the enemy did, avoid that at all costs. Don't let that shield it or something. Don't let that get you. It hurts a lot. I one time lost 20,000 all these souls that I gained because of something like that, because of something stupid I did. So I'm gonna click the Ring of Sacrifice on. I tend to use this a lot in this intermediate area because, well, I don't want to die to something stupid and then curse my existence because all my hard work just got wasted. So yeah, we're gonna head back up to here, and it'll be a quicker cutscene this time because, well, you know, they don't want to, you know, they're not that mean. So. Okay. Alright, so pro tip. Don't go to the right. It's a trap. You will fall down to your death. Yeah, don't do that. I did that one time. That time I mentioned I lost at 20,000 plus souls, yeah, that was here. I fell to my death, had to go back to the previous bonfire, and then those fire dudes got me, and I lost 20,000 souls that way. 20,000 souls that way. True story. Reminds me of that every time. Painful lessons are the best lessons sometimes. Anywho's, there's a lot of ways to get down. I tend to do this with it because I'm kind of like, oh, hi there! And first thing before I do anything else is run to a bonfire. Because, yeah, I don't take any chances when I've got this many souls. So, yeah, this was a trip worth doing. We got everything out of it. As you can tell, that one boss we just faced, he's tedious once you get the hang of him. He has 3 or 4 attacks. I mean, the general rule is just stay behind him, as a rule, and just watch out for when he does that one little big, magical blast thing. Just run away from him and run back in. As long as you do that, you'll be okay with him. It took me a few tries to get that down, though, to a science. I still occasionally die. That's more usually if I just turn my brain off, or if he just gets me at the very start. Because sometimes when you go down there and you've lost half your health, he'll just instantly do that magic blast and he'll just, eat and kill you. Happened to me plenty of times. The good news is if he kills you that quickly, the blood stain will be upstairs so you can get your souls back pretty quickly. Which is good, because, it would be terrible to lose all your souls that way. And there we go. Continuing on. Okay, what's that? So I don't really use a lot of power attacks. I tend to do a lot of what they call R1 spam. So just putting it out there. I'm not really a big, R2 kind of guy. I think generally speaking it costs too much stamina. So now if I'm facing an enemy player, then you want to vary it up, because your R1 spam, you're liable to get parried. So, and nobody wants to get parried, least of all me. Alright, so we're gonna talk to this guy again.
Well, you need...
Alright, also I should mention there's extra dialogue.
There are 2 types of weapon forging. There's reinforcement and there's ascension. Reinforcement is simple. It strengthens the weapon and nothing more. A simple task for any blacksmith. Hell, you could even do it yourself with a smith box. But ascension's a finer art. It alters a weapon's properties. Ascension is the territory of we blacksmiths. A smith box just won't do the trick. Start out with reinforcement. When that loses its charm, you can consider ascension. As you've noticed, this land is flush with the mad and wicked. You won't make it through the night without employing my services.
So yeah, he basically literally tells you what you need to do to upgrade weapons. So, anytime anyone tells you that this game doesn't tell you what you need to do, it tells you at least how to function. So it doesn't hold your hand. I'm gonna go ahead and spend a few souls just to get that upgraded. That way I have a +5 mace, and I'm gonna go ahead and buy that.
Don't get yourself killed. Neither of us want to see you go hollow.
I go ahead and get that because I could have spent it on leveling. But for one thing, that's an item that I can get later on that I'm gonna need for a later game. I don't want to have to go back and grind souls to get that. And 2, sometimes the area that it goes to actually gives the best amount of grinding, like in this game, just about. Gives really good souls amount, but I prefer not to do that stuff. It's better if you don't, but I do know of it. I'm not gonna say I've never done it. There have been a few times, especially if I want to. I tend to use it if I want to really use a certain item. Then I will do that a little bit, just so that way I can, use that item. So, one big thing going forward. Now that we've gotten that, I'm gonna switch back to the poise. Okay, we are going to go this way. I wonder if I end up getting the halberd or not. That'd be funny. There's another item up ahead. We're gonna go back in. We're gonna attack this guy again. So for the end of the time. Okay, let's deal with him. So I'm gonna show off pretty much a lot of areas that are really useful here. dead. I'm not really worried about its item, so falling down there is death, and, you know, trying to avoid that as much as possible. So, let's see here. Alright. Now there's a Titanite lizard down there, and he can be a little bit of a inconvenience to get because he just eats and runs. There's also an reason why we're going here so quickly. Perfect! Got him on my first try. There we go. Gets Titanite chunk and Twinkling Titanite. If I was only going to do with the the Black Knight weapons, the Twinkling Titanite is exclusively how you upgrade them, so very useful. And those upgrades are pretty awesome, so. Alright, the Lumbo. If I was doing anything more with Dexterity, then I would be switching over. So, it's a good intermediate bow. But I tend to use the bow just as an application, so. Night Ahead, yes. So this one here is my least favorite of the bunch because he's the one that I still die to from time to time. But he has an item that I want, so. There we go. Okay. See if I can parry him. Nope. Oh shit. Well, that's the first death of this run. Full disclaimer, I died to gravity. Okay. I was stupid. So yeah, there you go. That's death. Alright. I don't have a death counter, but that's death number 1. So. Alright. Oh, I love this game. Alright. That guy always tends to get me a little bit there, because I always try to do some cutesy tricks or something, and, you know, he just keeps you down. He just brings you back to reality. So I'm going to change up my tactics just a little bit here. Also, that is rude. Freaking hitboxes. You know what? Bow and arrow. There we go. Ah, another useful application of the bow and arrow. Okay. Alright. Need to deal with this guy real quick. Excellent. Okay. Alright. Let's give this another go, shall we? Oh, I died to that. I'm not that surprised. I was like, I was kind of thinking to myself at the beginning of this recording, like, wouldn't it be awesome if I had a deathless run as my playthrough? Game's like, hold my beer. So, there you go. Lesson learned, lesson learned. But that was entirely my fault. I was not being smart. So, we're going to do this a better way this time around. So I'm going to go back again and face him. And we're just going to kind of start over. So. Alright. Hopefully I can get my souls back. I don't think I'll die again twice in a row, but didn't think I died the first time, so. Okay. So I'm just going to let him come up here. And, yep, okay, perfect. We're going to lure him up just a bit. Okay. There we go, we're going to backstab him this time. There we go, that's better. Okay. So nice thing about it, you use really heavy windup. So if you shield through it, and you just position yourself, you just kind of circle strafe around him, which you can do better here. You can take advantage. So we're going to spank him. There we go. There we go. Got our revenge! Okay, cool. So most importantly though, we got the greatest shield in this game in my opinion. Or one of the best at least. So, Grash Crush shield, really good shield. Pretty good stats overall. Same level of better magic defense by a little bit, less stability. But if you're not the thing about the Grass Crush shield is if you're not going to use a shield to block with, this is the shield to use because it provides a stamina regen bonus. Very useful when you're playing a game like this. Very useful indeed. So, this next area is going to be the real test of, well, pretty much everything. So, let's see here. I'm going to go ahead and use a few souls here. I'm going to go ahead and level myself up, kind of empty myself out. Empty the bowels of death, as we call it. What do we want to use it on? Stamina, maybe? Strength? It's a hard one. Let's go with strength. Yeah, I want to go ahead and start working towards that item. Because there's an item I'm going to get here that's going to make things a lot simpler for me going forward. So I'm in hollow mode, so that means, thankfully, I can't be invaded. So the enemies can't, so a PvPer can't go in and kick me while I'm down, unlike Dark Souls 2. That happened to me one time, and I still curse that player to this day. You know, if you're out there, one day, somehow, somewhere, I will find you. And you will experience the same pain that I experienced. Don't you just love how that Dark Souls 2 just brings you to everybody together. So, anywho, this area here is a pain. Also, before I forget, I need that ring. Okay. So, yeah. There's a Hydra down here. He's kind of a pain in the butt. But he's not really the big issue now that I've gotten him down. It's more that you have these crystal golems, which I am going to... Yeah. Okay, perfect. Again, this is where strike damage comes in handy. We're going to kind of deal with them. Quick. He has a lot of little damage there. Alright, that's one down. So there's more, though. There's always another one. There's always another one. Okay. Remember when I mentioned bow and arrow is useful? Yeah, it's useful. Okay. Alright, he's already coming for me. I want to save those arrows. Okay. We'll let him come to me. Now, one thing, weakness of the Grass Crush shield, and this is probably by design so that people don't just exclusively use it, is the fact that its shield is only 95% damage reduction, which is still good, but I mean, I tend to go for 100 if I'm going to block with it. Except that right now I tend to go with, increased stamina, because it's nice. Not so worried about using all that right now. I'm more or less using this to get that. So let's see. Use a bow and arrow. There we go. Okay, perfect. Alright, so we're going to let him come to us. So what this is doing is that Hydra there is going to shoot like a lot of water streams at us, one for each head. And they do a lot of damage. They actually can also damage the enemies, and are a good way to do it if you deal with them. If your damage output is low. But see, I don't have to worry about that because I've got a hammer weapon, which is really effective against these types of enemies. So they're the best thing to use against them. Instead, I'm just going to use a bow and arrow and kind of, get them back there. So sometimes with it, you have to adjust your aim just a little bit because it is just a short bow. So you just kind of have to play around with it. Alright. Let's see here. Okay. There we go. Okay. Easy part done. Okay. I'm gonna switch back raid, the shields. And are there any more of these? No. Okay. So this is gonna be the hard part. Actually getting to this guy, because there's also a trap pit around the water. So you'll just kind of want to watch ideally how I handle this. Oh, okay, yeah. See, I was behind shelter, it still damaged me. You kind of want to wait until that's done. Then I'll typically move to this one right here. Okay. Now for the hard part. Kind of want to make a bad dash. Roll. Just do one roll here. Roll. Okay, this area. Watch out. And you're just gonna whack his head. Okay, get a little bit of damage there. Okay, that's one hit down. This boss gets a lot easier for damage it does, and take care of his heads. But, yeah. It does take a while. Sometimes with the way the hitboxes work, the hits won't connect. So, that. Usually what I'll do is, if I can think of them, go to stamina. Have my shield up so I can block, and then I'll switch to the There's also ways you can cheese it, but I don't generally do cheese instead. This game. Okay, that's another head. The enemy's really lost its head. Alright. Okay, at this point I'm pretty safe. There we go. Where a bow and arrow is going to come in handy, because I am not as to just, try to attack that area, because that area is a pit of death. So don't do that. Instead, do this with them. Shoot them with arrows. Kind of aim for right here. Comes up. Because the arrows do lose power as they travel. Thing to consider. So you kind of want to go for a... Yay. So also the Dust Crown Ring, I don't really use it. It's more for magical casting builds. It doubles your amount of, or increases your amount of castings you get. But it caps your health HP at like half. So, and that's basically that's really risky. So, I like to play dangerously sometimes, but I ain't that dangerous. So. Okay, so a little trick here. We're also going to go ahead and unlock some things for expansion later on in the game. A lot of what I do early game is kind of getting ready for the late game. So we're going to low down here. Quit. And I'm probably going to take on this next thing and probably one more, and then I'm probably going to call it. So I think at that point, I'll have a good play session. So. Alright. This guy here spawns whenever you come here next, or if you load out, which is the reason why I do that. I'm going to just do that, because sometimes my dodging doesn't quite work out. Okay. Back up for a moment. Okay. hit. Just about. He did me. Okay. Oh, that was stupid of me. Okay. Oh no. This can be bad. Oh, okay, good. Yay! Beaten. And we rescued this fine maiden.
So, it is thou who rescueth me. Most gracious, I am deeply obliged. I am Dusk of Ulyssil. I cometh from an age long before thine. I cannot stay here for long. So, before I disappear, allow me to ask one thing. My home, Ulyssil, is the home of ancient sorceries. My hope is to pass this profound knowledge to thee, with thine approval. Would this be of assistance to thee?
Yes.
My heartfelt thanks. I am pleased beyond words. Then I shout, engrave my signature. If thou art in need, pray summon me from my signature. It seems that my time is done. May the great flames guide thee.
Alright, so there we go. Okay, so we just saved a princess because we're that awesome. So yeah, there you go. So we're gonna run, now this part just involves a lot of running, which is one reason, again, why I'm really glad I got that rusted iron ring. That's actually the main reason why I went ahead and went back to the asylum, is to get that ring, because it is very useful for this area, and there's another area we'll discuss later on, which this ring is. It's got some. Very useful. I know I say very useful a lot, but that's because of this. So we can actually summon her, but you gotta be really careful because she is not impervious to damage from, like, say, invaders or even other NPCs. Like those blue golems, they respawn. So if you're ever gonna summon her for whatever reason after this, make sure your area is clear. Don't be stupid. So, 'cause she can die.
I am Dusk
So
of
you don't want that to
Ulyssil.
happen.
It is an honor to see thee again. I shall follow thine wishes.
Okay. So she teaches gesture. She'll talk with you a little bit about things, which I'll have the dialogue.
For a very long time, I was trapped within the crystal golem. From my home I was taken and banished to a plane of distortion. It was there that thou came to my rescue, long after I had relinquished all hope. So gleeful was I. My faith reneweth.
Alright. So this gets a lot of little sorceries. This one here, Cast Light, pretty useful for most build peoples. I generally will say get that one at least, but most importantly is the Catalyst. So this Catalyst here is the lightest Catalyst in the game. And it requires 12 intelligence to be able to use. This is why I mentioned earlier about getting 12. So
If thou art in need, I wish may the...
So if you're ever going to use that item, that one, a sorcery, or at all, and you're just you don't want to invest a whole bunch in it,